We're here for it. The number one way to improve as a basketball official, analyzing game video. Let's look at plays. Stick around. Greetings and welcome back to 5 Play Friday, the show where we look at game video, analyze plays, looking at the positioning of the officials, whether the correct call was made, who made the call, were we working the system, and all of the things that make us better as basketball officials. Greetings again, everybody. My name is Greg Austin with abetterofficial.com. We craft video to help basketball officials get better and take control of their officiating career. If this is the content you're here for, think about doing all the things like the video. Hit subscribe and the notify bell so you don't miss out on any of our new content, including our live streams. Hey, before we start, let me thank our show supporters. Les O'Connor Jr., Jay Ship, Sylvia Bigot, Gerald Mazzucci, and Louis Fuentes. Much appreciated and much love. If you want to support the show, you can always head to abetterofficial.com/coffee. I'll put a link in the show notes below. All right, fantastic. Today we're going to look at some plays from YouTube, from a broadcast from Minnesota game. We've referred to it before. This fantastic broadcast, great video quality. One of the things about our games is sometimes our video quality is great, sometimes our video quality is not so great. But even when it's the grainy Zapruder film, there's value for us. We just can't necessarily always see all of the details, right? But even cell phone video from the stands is helpful to basketball officials in analyzing our positioning on the court, where we are looking, were we looking at the right thing at the right time so that we can get the call correct. Okay, so we're here to look at plays. Let's take a look at our very first video. Right, a simple verticality play to start. Transition, pretty much transition. It appears that the front court is settled. We've got a defender who attempts to block the shot or contest the shot. And, our job is to judge the legality of the defender, right? So in this instance, our center official needs to transfer their eyes. At this point, right here, we need to pick up the next defender, right? And also on the play, the lead has primary coverage on this play, right? They have one defender here to officiate, right? We need to have, if we look at the play, if we see where the player jumped from and where they land, it's clear that they did not jump vertically. They jumped forward. And the contact was certainly more than incidental. So this is a foul by rule. Our crew should have put a whistle on this play. White 3. I mean, that's pretty hard contact as well, right? And a vulnerable airborne shooter. Now, what do we want to do? We always want to protect our airborne shooters. We also want to reward good defense, right? So that's why it's imperative that we make a determination about the legality of the defender. In this instance, our defender moves from what we refer to as A to B, moving from a spot, jumping in the air, and moving forward, right? Not holding their position vertically. And a foul should have been ruled in this instance. Now, who can put a whistle on this play, right? You could say, okay, that defender belongs to the lead. That's the lead's defender to make a ruling on, right? But if the call does not come from the lead, and we are at the center position, and we see that the verticality was not maintained, can we put a whistle from center? Could we put a whistle from trail? if our trail was engaged. Can't tell from this. Trailing the play quite a bit, probably not in a position to make a call, but a well-positioned trail. When we see an obvious foul in the game, right, we want to work the system. We have a primary coverage official and secondary coverage officials. But when an obvious foul occurs in the game, especially in the middle of the floor where we have overlapping coverages, we would expect to have a whistle on the play. Does the ball handler terminate their dribble, right? It seems like there's a moment where we see the ball, the hand on the ball, this moment right here, where we see a hand on the side of the ball, right? And it looks like her other hand must have touched the ball, but we cannot see it. So we would be guessing from this angle. And it's easy for our brain to say, oh, that left hand touched the ball, right? Our brain could sort of piece things together, but we cannot see it from the camera angle. So it's a great discipline play. From when we look at the play, it's like, I think that may have happened, but I do not know that that did happen, right? So that's an excellent point of reference. Let's take a look at our next play. Right? So another verticality play, much more subtle, the movement of the defender. Right? So we have a couple of things to evaluate on this play. Does our defender maintain verticality? Do they jump straight up and down, or do they move towards the shooter? And then up top, there's a hand movement by the defender to contact the basketball. Was there illegal use of hands on the play as well? These are the determinations we have to make. So we've got an official with a center official in this instance working low with a great open look on the play. During rebounding action, we would expect our center to have a look on this play, and also our trail, which would be the camera angle, also having a great look on the play. So, compared to the first play, the player jumped significantly from A to B. Does this player move from A to B and cause illegal contact? That's what we need to make a determination on this play. Or are we going to make a ruling about the contact up top? Was the action up top legal? So let's take a look at those two things. Right? So just fundamentally, does our defender move from A to B? Right? You see their feet. She jumps and moves forward slightly, but that slight movement causes contact. So subtle, but a ruling is made that there is a foul on the play. Now, what about the contact up top? Right? The player brings their hands down, right? Is there arm contact? Is that illegal contact on the play? Don't actually know what the official ruled here. Oh, he's got a push, right? So he's got the body contact moving from A to B. But our official's in great position and has an open look on the play. And that's obviously the first thing we need in order to make an accurate ruling on a play. But these are players who, let's say, can play through some contact. These are higher level players than maybe a normal varsity game, I would say. There's some elite talent on the floor. Let's just put it that way. SMB jumping in says, don't put that whistle in this game. Come on, let them play. I got you. If we're pre-gaming this game here, we have high-level athletes, right? They can play through contact. We want so So are we, what's going to be our approach to the game? Now, we have high-level bigs who the ball is going to go through. These players are skilled around the basket, etc. We may have shot blockers, etc. Right? We want to pregame our approach to this. Do we want to be quick whistled on post activity, fouls such as this, or do we want to have more processing, more see the play, start, develop, finish, etc., and not react, right? Do we want to let these players play? Do we want to be quick whistled, right? So we want to make that determination in our pregame once if we know the status of the teams coming in, and play and go accordingly. But are the calls that we make early in the game are really going to dictate what is a foul tonight and what kind of things we are allowing and not allowing, right? So this could be a carryover. It happens after that first foul, which was an obvious foul, and there was a no call. And then this one, we have a super subtle contact with the body, that could be ruled incidental, certainly. And a whistle is put on the play, right? So this is where the confusion can develop. What are we doing as a crew tonight? What is a foul tonight? And sometimes we just miss the foul. We're not going to have that happen again. We're not going to say that that is the level of foul that we are going to allow or contact that we are going to allow, right? But these are the factors we need to think about as a crew. We go into the game with a strategy. We have a plan, how we're going to officiate this game tonight, etc. We're ready to go. The game happens. The game fits what we anticipated, maybe, or the game does not. Something else devolves. The players were, just the level of play was rougher than we anticipated, etc. But the calls that we make define the parameters of how this game is going to be officiated. We want to get our calls correct. We certainly want consistency as a crew, but the calls that we put into the game early in the game dictate how this game will be officiated. Two plays in. Let's take a look at our next play. All right. Block charge play, no call. Defender goes down. Right. We need to judge the legality of the defender. This is a subtle play in that our ball handler is headed in a specific direction. They are not headed directly to the basket. They're headed more to the edge of the backboard. Our defender sets up at a position between the player and the basket, and then the torso drifts as the player approaches, and we have contact on the play. Player says, "Come on, ref." So we would say a couple of things in National Federation of High School. Whose play is this? I think this was just immediately after a steal in the backcourt. Is this the center's call? Is this the lead's call? Who can make a call on this play, etc.? These would be factors. And is a call warranted on this play? But these are the defining plays. Where are we? We are 9 minutes into the game, and these are the defining plays. We are saying, communicating to the stakeholders in the game, this is how we are going to adjudicate plays tonight. This is going to be a no call, right? With each call that we make, we are either cementing how we are officiating this game and how this game will be called, or we are eroding what we've created so far. Like if we had a similar play at the other end that was ruled a block or ruled a charge, and then on this end we have a no call on a similar play, then we have inconsistency. Right? So important to remember when we make judgments on these plays that we are cementing or eroding how we are going to officiate this kind of play tonight. Right? We could say our defender was legal. This cannot be a defensive foul. This either is a charge or a no call. Or we could say our defender was not legal, and this has to be a blocking foul or a no call. Right? This is where we, as a crew, dictate to the stakeholders in the game how we are going to officiate the game. All right, let's jump now to play number 4. All right. Violation ruled by the lead on a transition play. Ruling an illegal dribble on the play. Let's take a look. Player has her hand under the ball. The ball bounces on the floor. Player grabs the ball and then initiates a dribble. Was this a violation by rule? Did the correct official make the call? Let's start there. We have a transition play between the top of the arcs, right? Who is responsible for this play? This is the center official. They are responsible for this play. It is their primary coverage area, right? If we're going to come out of our primary coverage area for a violation, it has to be very obvious. You could say, well, this is an obvious violation, right? Let's take a look, right? So the player puts her hand under the ball here and brings it forward. And you could say, okay, she is holding the basketball here. And the resulting play where she releases the ball to the floor, and it was a dribble. She then touches the ball with 2 hands, terminating that dribble, and dribbles the ball again. You could say that, right? Did the defender on the play contact the ball? That's a question. We would have to know that they absolutely did not contact the ball in order to make this ruling. Again, we're coming out of our primary to make a call here. And the fact that we are in the second half here and our team in white is down by 23, that's not a factor. Yeah, I think our defender contacted the ball. I know it didn't change direction, Mike. Mike, I know it didn't change direction. I think she got it. I think she got it. Some fingertip contact that made the ball accelerate. But again, we want to be sure, right? From this camera angle, can we be sure? No, we cannot. But our brain wants to put things together. You could look at this as an ants and elephants play, right? It's possible, it's certainly possible that this player violated. It's also possible that they didn't. Are we sure that they? And we have the center official looking right at the play. Now also, as we like to point out, when your partner makes a call in your primary, what are the behaviors that you display? Or when your partner makes a call, what are the behaviors that you display as a crew member, right? And we see when officials start touching their face, adjusting their equipment, and things like that, sometimes it's a tell that there may be disagreement about whether a whistle should have been put on a play or not. That's just something to be, when we watch our game video, when we analyze our game video, if my partner made a call, what was my reaction? Did my reaction, even the subtle body language stuff, support my partner's call that basically exudes, great call, partner, perfect, even though your brain says, what? Hey, can I ask you a quick favor? If you're finding this video content valuable, take just a second, hit the like button below. Really helps with the YouTube algorithm and helps to get the video in front of more basketball officials so that we can all get better together. Thank you. Even if the ball wasn't touched, is this an illegal dribble, right? So what is the definition of a dribble? Definition of a dribble is when a player in control of the ball pushes or bats the ball to the floor. Player in control of the ball. So you could say, oh, at this point, yes, she's holding the ball. I'm going to grant them a timeout, right? She definitely moves the ball from point A to point B, but is the player in control of the ball, or is she gaining control of the ball? When she puts two hands on the ball here, she definitely has control of the ball and pushes the ball to the floor. That is definitely a dribble by rule. Would the first part, though, be considered a dribble by rule? That's where we make the big bucks in making judgments like that. But again, coming out of your primary on a play like this would not seem to be the way we could be most successful as a crew. But the question is, what level of violation are we going to, let's say a play occurred at the division line and not at the 28-foot line, right? 28-foot line, the play occurs there. 28-foot line is a long way from the lead. They certainly have an open look on the play. But what if it occurred at the division line? Would we go get that play from the division line in the same setting? You know, our partner has primary coverage. What level of violation or perceived violation are we going to come out of our primary for? And again, we are as a crew, right? Previously we talked about a situation how our calls cement or erode a consistent approach to officiating the game. That also works with a crew. As a crew, if I'm going to come call a violation out of my primary that is maybe not so obvious, right? Then we are setting a standard of that's how our crew is going to operate tonight. We want to develop a standard where our crew says, look, well, I mean, what are the four basics? Officiate your primary. Call the obvious. Trust your partners, right? If it's in your coverage area, I trust you will officiate this play. If there is something that is obvious and needs a whistle, and it's in my secondary, I will potentially come get the play when it's obvious and when it's needed. So the way we function as a crew, we start the game, and again, we have a great game plan. Okay, we're going to trust our partner. We're officiate our primary. We're going to call the obvious. We're not going to guess, and all these things, right? And then we get on the floor, and the game starts, and just like the teams have a strategy, how we're going to approach this game. We're going to press after a made basket. We're going to do this. We're going to leave this shooter alone and double team this shooter, and et cetera. We have a game plan. The players go out and execute, and they execute it extremely well, very well, pretty good, not so great, et cetera, right? And that's the coach's job, is to get the team to improve and get better. Well, we as officials, we have a crew. We come to the game. We have a game plan, how we're going to approach. We go out and we execute, right? And we are no different. We are human beings. We had a great game plan. Did we do a fantastic job? Did we do a very good job? Did we do a pretty good job? Did we do a fair, not so good, or poor, right? And the way that we work as a crew dictates whether we were successful or not. So it's great to have a game plan, but it's far better to execute that game plan effectively. Hey, let's move on to play number 5. All right, this is a fantastic play. Again, so we want to put our crew in a great position to succeed. But sometimes the players and the game finds the weak spot, right? Just like the defense wants to be strong and set up and anticipating and all these things, but offense can exploit a weakness in the defense. Our positioning on this play, when the player goes to this part of this part of the court to try to score, who is officiating who on this play, right? Let's start there. We are in, let's see. So on the play, we have a player go to the basket, calling official rules that the foul did not occur during a try for goal, and the resulting, we should resume with an end line throw-in. That is what the official rules on the play. Let's think, though, about what the official has to officiate on this play. So the on-ball matchup comes out of the Trail's primary. Trail has a closely guarded count and has that on-ball matchup. Center has a secondary defender who comes in and digs with her left hand. So we have to see if there's contact there. Right there. And then we have another secondary defender who comes, flies by and contacts the basketball. The center rules a foul on black 14, the big, on the end line for body contact. Has a push and points to end line. If we review continuous motion applies when an offensive player is exhibiting the actions which precede their habitual throwing motion. When a player goes to the basket, at some point, they have begun their habitual throwing motion, right? We also notice the behavior of everybody in the game. Calling official puts a whistle on the play and maybe designates an end line throw-in. But the game, all the stakeholders in the game, including partners, say, well, she was shooting the ball, right? It's always an important consideration to remember. Let's take one more look. right? Terminates the dribble. What is this player doing? She's got a big and a player deflecting the ball. So we can react and say, well, wait a minute, that's not a shooting motion. She just went up, but she was faced between a rock and a hard place, right? She goes up to release a try. We can't read her mind, but she goes up to release a try. She's got a big with her arms up, and she's got another player coming by, contacting the basketball. She's in a tough spot. We need to make a judgment as a calling official of whether or not continuous motion applies in this instance. So let's just also address all right, so the calling official points end line. What are your options as a crew member, right? We're working to, as a crew, officiate our primary, call the obvious, don't guess, right? Our partner says end line. What are our options? Great call, partner, we're going end line, right? Another option is, before they go report, partner, she was shooting. Declarative statement. Partner, she was shooting. Straightforward. Could the trail come with that? Partner, she was shooting. Could the lead come with that? Right? First thing is recognizing, right, which our crew didn't do. Everybody just assumed we were shooting because everything about the play says she should be shooting. She should be shooting free throws, right? Everything about the play. Everybody in the building knows that she should be shooting, except the calling official has an end line, right? We have the ability to communicate. We are going to trust our partner, but we have the ability to communicate. Here's what I saw on the play. Partner, she was shooting, right? The calling official can take that information, right? Maybe they can recognize, you know what? I had a lot going on there. I really appreciate that. Yeah, let's put her on the line, right? Do we have the ability to do that? Yes. Yes, we do. Something to think about how again, trust is a two-way street. I trust the calling official to make a ruling on the play. If I'm the calling official, I trust if you have information on the play that you will communicate with me and we can get closer to the correct ruling on the play. We can go to, right? So the first step is recognizing what your partner has. When the partner says end line, the crew did not recognize that, right? Ultimately, the calling official had to come in and say, no, end line. And the other officials were like, what? Right? So we had a breakdown. Even though I think this official does a good job of pointing, even though it's truncated and we don't see it. Oh, video should be playing. But we have the ability, if at that point my partner pointed end line, I can say, partner, she was shooting, right? And we don't say, if we just make declarative statements, then you know what I have. Partner, she was shooting. If I say maybe going up or wishy-washy or what, or less than convicted, right? Then not as dynamic. But again, I want you to come to me and say, partner, she was shooting in this instance, if I'm the calling official. Let's get the play right. I had a lot going on. I had this defender, that defender, right, etc. Now, once we get to the point where the official has reported and they're coming in and saying no end line, at that point, our opportunity to correct really, or fix, as Jay says, to fix it has really gone away. We need to do it in the moment. But that's the opportunity presents itself here on this play. Let's look at a bonus play. All right. We stay in the state of Minnesota. Minnesota has 18-minute halves, so we are in the first minute of the game. This is a state championship game. We have a secondary defender. Also, Minnesota uses, for varsity games, the restricted area. Something different at the high school level. Okay? So, high school officials are not necessarily going to be well-versed in restricted area rules, but a player may not establish guarding position by putting a foot into the restricted area, which this player appears to do, right? If we look and watch the secondary defender's right foot, right? She appears to step on the line right there. Right there. So this would not be a legal guarding position. This should be ruled a block. But the elephant in the room is there is a no call on this play. There is a no call on this play. Does this play need a whistle? I think everybody would agree this play is the kind of play that needs a whistle. We've got a secondary defender who attempts to take a charge. We have an offensive player who barrels through the torso of the defender. This is a play that needs a whistle one way or the other. We have no whistle on the play. The fact that it's a restricted area play in Minnesota is not a factor here in terms of whether or not a whistle, it's not, well, that since the defender was not legal, it's a no call, right? This is a play that needs a whistle. Oh. In the absence of the restricted area, this defender is clearly established their position before the offensive player goes airborne, firms up, doesn't move forward, right? We need a whistle on this play. Who can put a whistle on this play? I'm going to do it there. Right? We have an agreement as a crew. We're going to call the obvious. We're going to trust our partners. We're going to officiate our primary coverage area. That's our agreement as a crew. Those are the basics. But part of our agreement is we are going to call the obvious. We want the primary coverage official to have a whistle on the play and call the obvious. In the absence of a primary official calling the obvious, the agreement from the crew has to be that as a crew, we will assist the primary coverage official by calling the obvious. Obviously, a foul in this instance. Whether or not restricted area, that's a factor, but we have to call the play on its merits unless we have information about the restricted area here in Minnesota. But we have to have a whistle on this play. It's as simple as that. Can the whistle come from the center? Yes. Can the whistle come from the trail? Yes. We can put a whistle on this play. It's not ideal for it to come from the trail, but we need a whistle. And if you feel, as when we take the court, if you feel empowered to put a whistle on obvious fouls, your crew will be better. Right? So here's the deal. I'm the lead on this play. And for whatever reason, my brain can't process. I was thinking about the foot in the arc, this, that, and the other thing, and my whistle did not go off. What do I want from my crew members? What do I want? Do I want to say, look, no. I'll live and die with that. This is all good. You officiate your primary, I'll officiate mine. You think that's my mentality? No, you put a whistle. Oh my gosh, thank you. I don't know what happened to my brain for not putting whistle on that play, right? I want help. Come, let's do this as a crew and get plays right to the best of our ability as a crew. Work the system, but help me. Help me. I had a play. I was doing a collegiate scrimmage at a D1 school, right? Which, so I don't officiate D1. And I'm working with D1 partners. And so I was new to NCAA officiating, and I was on this scrimmage. I don't know how I got there. But I had a play that was coming at me. It was a block charge play right in the middle of the lane, and I'm lead. And just as I'm getting to the end line, like something, I felt like I pulled a muscle in my leg. And I was like, my brain said, focus on your leg, and didn't put a whistle on the play. And it was an obvious block charge play. I don't remember which. The center official, he's like, no, boom, right? It's like, it's your primary. I'm going to trust you 100%. But if you don't have a whistle on an obvious foul, I am going to come put a whistle. That's got to be our agreement as a crew. I'm going to come put a whistle. That play needed a whistle. That's our number one imperative as a crew. Call the obvious, etc. So, so after I realized that it wasn't something severe, it's like, man, thank you. I don't know why. I don't know why my whistle didn't go off. Got to recognize we're human beings. Got to recognize. Thanks for joining us today for 5 Play Friday. If this is the video content that you find valuable as a basketball official, now would be a great time to do all the things. Subscribe and notify so you don't miss out on any of our new content, and hit the like button so that more officials get exposed to the video and we can all get better together. Allow me a moment to thank our fantastic show supporters, Les O'Connor, Jay Ship, Sylvia Bigot, Gerald Mazzucci, and Luis Fuentes. Much appreciated and much love. You want to support the show? You can always head to abetterofficial.com/coffee. I'll put a link above and in the show notes below. Fantastic. Additional video content available for you here. This is a video that I've chosen. This is a video that YouTube thinks would be best. Make your choice. Choose wisely. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.